A disturbing, almost poisonous dynamic emerges when a team is stacked with an extraordinary, historic level of pure ability, a situation where dazzling individual skill disguises complete strategic failure. Audiences are trained by major sports outlets to fixate only on results, staring at the scoreboard on their screens, noticing that the United States national squad claimed the win, admiring the flawless 5-0 record in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, and being encouraged to cheer. Yet anyone with even a basic grasp of basketball spacing, anyone who recognizes the fragile balance of an elite offense, and anyone willing to actually watch the unfiltered footage of this title clash against Spain will not be celebrating, they will be outraged. That anger comes from realizing this was not simply a game, but a display of profound strategic sabotage, as a coaching group under interim leader Nate Tibbetts effectively tried to muzzle the most dangerous offensive force the game has ever produced. The United States escaped with a win, but transformed what should have been a fluid 40-point showcase into a messy, exhausting, chaotic, and completely avoidable battle. For 10 painful months, the global basketball audience had been waiting to see Caitlin Clark return to the court, eager to witness the point guard in action, demanding that the outdated veteran-first power structure of Team USA be torn down. After she dominated New Zealand as a starter, the blueprint was obvious and the method validated. Instead of embracing this generational talent, the interim coach hesitated and fell back on tradition, even sidelining Caitlin Clark for the championship matchup, though that decision was only the beginning of a larger pattern of mismanagement. The real issue, the true strategic disaster, occurred once Clark finally entered the game, as the lineup featuring Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Caitlin Clark, and Derica Hamby appeared intimidating to casual observers, but was fundamentally flawed to anyone familiar with positional roles. Gray operates as a ball-heavy, deliberate point guard. Plum fills the scoring two role. Young thrives as an attacking wing, and Hamby anchors the interior as the only true big, leaving Clark, the most creative playmaker of her era, the most dangerous pick-and-roll orchestrator in the sport, and a player defined by controlling tempo with the ball, forced into the power forward spot. The coaching staff essentially pushed a master offensive strategist into a corner role, like turning a high-performance machine into a blunt tool, asking her to set off-ball screens, remain idle on the perimeter, and serve as a decoy while veterans slowly initiated plays. It mirrors the absurdity of asking Patrick Mahomes to line up as a blocker, stripping away the very instincts and influence that define her brilliance. This misuse not only disrupted the American offensive rhythm, but also created a serious defensive weakness, because placing a perimeter player at power forward in international competition invites opponents to dominate inside, and Spain, with its strong, physical frontcourt, was perfectly equipped to exploit that mismatch.
What are we doing here? Caitlin Clark finished the game 7 points, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, only 1 turnover for Caitlin Clark, so she took care of the ball. 7 assists. This was Caitlin Clark making do with what she had. You know, the 7 points, she missed a good amount of three-pointers. But the 7 assists...
The coaching unit placed Caitlin Clark in the difficult role of defending the low post against opponents like a Wafam, a dominant and imposing 6 feet 4 inches center, creating a severe physical mismatch that Spain's staff quickly identified and targeted without hesitation. Yet in that very moment, Clark's undeniable toughness dismantled the predictable criticism often directed at her, as skeptics frequently label her a defensive weakness from the comfort of their studios. Faced with a true David versus Goliath situation, guarding someone significantly taller inside the paint, she remained composed and refused to be overpowered, instead relying on her strong base, balanced stance, and precise timing. She read the opposing center's movement with remarkable accuracy and struck at the perfect instant, knocking the ball loose and securing a crucial defensive stop that resulted in a turnover. Her defensive awareness, often overlooked, became the very tool that rescued a coaching staff that had placed her in an extremely challenging scenario. Despite her impressive individual effort on defense, the broader offensive approach from Team USA remained deeply flawed, because if a coach commits to a small, guard-heavy lineup with Clark functioning as an unconventional power forward, the only logical strategy is to maximize speed, forcing larger and slower Spanish players into a relentless, high-tempo contest. Instead, the team abandoned that concept entirely, choosing to slow the pace, walking the ball up and running a half-court system led by Chelsea Gray, which played directly into Spain's structured defensive setup. The outcome was a chaotic and ineffective offense, politely described as freestyle but in truth lacking cohesion, rhythm, and spacing, with players often static and disconnected. Kalia Koppa, an explosive scorer, was repeatedly left to attack in isolation against multiple defenders due to the absence of fluid ball movement, while Dirika Hamby had to rely on contested post attempts just to create scoring opportunities. The system appeared completely dysfunctional, largely because the primary offensive creator was left inactive without the ball, and removing Clark from that central role did not just limit her numbers, it disrupted the entire offensive framework, eliminating the efficient, high-quality opportunities she naturally generates. Even under these restrictive and unfavorable conditions, playing out of position and battling larger opponents, Clark still delivered a stat line that underscored her exceptional basketball intelligence, finishing with 7 points, 7 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and only a single turnover. That assist-to-turnover ratio stands as clear evidence of elite decision-making, especially in a game marked by disorder, tight spacing, and limited chances to initiate plays. Despite these obstacles, she still led the team in assists, turning difficult circumstances into productive outcomes, consistently creating advantages whenever she handled the ball. With slightly better finishing from teammates and a bit more shooting luck, her performance could have easily translated into a dominant double-double. And a closer look at those assists reveals the fast-paced, dynamic style that the team so clearly lacked throughout the game.
7 points, missed a few open threes, easily could have been 13 and 7. Easily could have been 13 and 7. But that's not the way the cookie crumbles. Shout out to Jim Carrey. Caitlin Clark in the first half today, 5 points, 4 assists, 0 turnovers.
In one of the most breathtaking and unforgettable moments of the entire competition, Caitlin Clark grabbed the ball near her own baseline, and while the rest of Team USA began easing into yet another slow, lifeless half-court possession, her mind was already processing the full court ahead. She immediately recognized Paige Bueckers sprinting up the floor, and without hesitation, without even taking a dribble to steady herself, she fired a perfect 70-foot pass across the court. The ball sawed end to end and connected with Bueckers in stride for an easy finish. That single moment captures the essence of Caitlin Clark, showcasing her rare ability to transform defense into instant, unstoppable offense without needing to put the ball on the floor. It reflects the exact fast-paced, aggressive style that Team USA should have maintained throughout the full 40 minutes. Yet when the half-court system completely broke down, when the shot clock ticked away and Spain's defense locked down every option, Clark was left with no choice but to rely on her ultimate, unstoppable bailout weapon.
It doesn't look like there's a rhyme or reason to anything. A lot of freestyle offense. Even the announcers made note, like, the offense just looks like they're freestyling out there. Looks like they're just throwing you-know-what at a wall and hoping it sticks.
After crossing midcourt, she ignored the screen entirely and smoothly stepped back into a deep, tightly defended logo 3 from nearly 7 feet beyond the arc, a shot taken out of pure offensive desperation. When a system breaks down completely, the burden shifts to star players to create something extraordinary, and no one delivers that kind of brilliance more consistently or from greater range than number 22. Yet her impact in this matchup went far beyond highlight passes and long-range momentum shots, as she relentlessly pursued the ball, constantly working to generate additional possessions for a struggling American offense that was in desperate need of them.
9 points, 2 assists. Kelsey Plum, 18 points. Erica Hamby, 14 points. Ka Copper, 20 points. A lot of Ka Copper's points, straight up ISO ball.
It was pure effort and instinct on display, especially in moments that led directly to Kalia Koppa's scoring, as the play began to break down and the ball was briefly mishandled while a Spanish player desperately searched for an outlet. In that instant, Clark read the situation perfectly, identifying the weakness in the defense and aggressively jumping into the passing lane, securing the steal and immediately turning chaos into a fast break opportunity for the United States. That non-stop intensity and hunger for the ball is what separates a passive contributor from a true generational playmaker, as she refuses to stand idle even when the system sidelines her involvement. Despite the ongoing tactical frustration and questionable decisions from the coaching staff, this sequence also offered an important look into the real atmosphere within the Team USA locker room, contrasting sharply with months of online noise filled with negativity, overanalyzed narratives, and unfounded rumors about jealousy, internal conflict, and a supposedly fractured team dynamic.
Head down. Dearica Hamby calling for the ball in the post, calling for it and calling for it. And they gave it to her. She converted. Chelsea Gray, 8 points, 4 assists in 20.
During the championship game, cameras caught Dearica Hamby sharing a light moment, laughing, joking, and even placing a hat on Caitlin Clark's head in a playful gesture. And while it seemed small, it completely shattered the media-driven narrative that this team struggles with chemistry. The players are not the issue. The locker room dynamic is not the issue, and the overwhelming level of talent on this roster is certainly not the issue. The real problem lies in a coaching philosophy that is hesitant to embrace the future, an outdated mindset that prefers a slow, inefficient, and disjointed style of play rather than acknowledging that the traditional veteran-first structure no longer fits the modern game.
The smaller players with the quicker legs, you could take advantage, but Team USA didn't take advantage of it. They said, okay, we're going to run a small lineup and play half-court offense.
Whenever Caitlin Clark was actually given control to initiate the offense, the contrast became impossible to ignore. As Jackie Young delivered her the ball, she took a single dribble, drew the Spanish defender forward, and instantly connected with Paige Buecher's in stride, transforming a stalled half-court possession into a rapid, unstoppable transition opportunity. That level of decision-making speed and offensive acceleration is something the veteran guards on this roster simply cannot replicate, and it is clear the coaching staff remains uneasy about fully embracing it. As the FIBA World Cup qualifying campaign concludes with Team USA finishing undefeated, fans are left with a frustrating weight, having witnessed Clark's brilliance on the global stage but now stuck in uncertainty. The ongoing WNBA collective bargaining agreement discussions continue behind closed doors in New York, leaving the 2026 season in limbo as players push for a fair share of the unprecedented financial growth largely driven by Clark's impact, while ownership delays progress. However, once negotiations are finalized and the season finally begins, the entire landscape of the league is set to change dramatically. When Caitlin Clark returns in an Indiana Fever uniform, she will not be miscast in an unnatural role or reduced to a passive presence, but instead will be given full control of the offense from the start. Fans will finally witness what happens when a professional system is fully designed around her unique spacing and playmaking, and when a coaching staff encourages maximum pace on every possession. If she can still control the flow of an international championship game and lead in assists despite being misused, then the statistical impact she will have in the WNBA, once fully unleashed in her natural position, could be historic. The rest of the league is already on notice, and the global basketball community has been given a preview. While Team USA managed to win this tournament, the coaching approach exposed clear tactical shortcomings, proving that you cannot suppress a generational talent, cannot force an elite playmaker into an unsuitable role, and cannot contain the momentum that is building toward the future of the sport.